Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Go ahead and put that Wi-Fi on. What's up, Jason? Trying to stretch out a little bit. Yeah, healthcare starts at home. You're right. But we're talking about government healthcare. We're talking about our insurance. Good morning. We're talking about our insurance, Obamacare, the COVID term relief campaign for healthcare that made everything cheap. I think it's important to understand basically kind of like the timeline of what's going on and why it's going on. And I talk about some things that are a little bit ironic. So when the whole COVID crisis hit, Biden basically drew up his relief act for people that could not afford health care and made Obamacare cheaper. In the process of doing that, it was only supposed to be temporary. And I'm sure you all are tracking that. With that being said, it got extended a second time. Wait a second here. What insurance? If Trumpy had his way, he would do away with it. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be good or bad, Cindy. First of all, you have to remember, to an extent, I understand why you're saying what you're saying, but also at the same time, it's not Trump that did this. So your comment kind of is leading in a direction pointing at Trump, saying it's his fault when that's not an educated statement. So I'm not sure if that's what you're after, but that's how it's coming across, and that is not how this went down. I mean, you don't have to agree with everything, somebody says, but let's play the cards here correctly. Good morning. Biden made Obamacare cheaper. Obamacare was a disaster before COVID. Was a complete disaster before COVID. Now, follow me here. Now, if you're still gonna tell me I'm wrong after I explain this, well, I think I'm not the one with the issue here. It's the people that are brainwashed that don't want to believe anything outside of their own wheelhouse. What they supposedly, with feelings, feel comfortable feeling. So, COVID hits. Obamacare was ridiculous. Biden makes it cheaper for everybody. Then we move forward. It gets extended, and he makes it cheaper again. There's tax credits that are running out. Those credits are going to expire. The Democrats are playing hardball. Didn't the ACA charge people for not having overpriced ACA insurance? Yeah. What I'm getting at is it was extended twice under the Obama administration, and those tax credits are running out. And if those tax credits run out, the backdoor funneling of money into the insurance company's pockets on what the government is making up for, which we're paying for anyway, in our insurance, is going right back into the insurance company's pockets. All that's going to go away. Our premiums are going to probably double, if not triple, in some cases. But what ends up happening is that the whole scheme starts to come into play. The government was backdooring these big insurance companies this money the whole entire time, as if we were getting some type of relief, while people were paying more and more in taxes, and they were just funding exactly what was going on. So this extension was never supposed to be permanent. This cheaper Obamacare healthcare was never supposed to be permanent. And that's where everybody's hooked up at. They're like, oh, he's going to ruin it. Trump's going to ruin it. The Republicans are going to ruin it. You're full of shit. That's not how it happened. It was only temporary relief. And it got extended twice through two different acts. Well, it was created with one act and then extended with another act. It wasn't supposed to stay permanent. These credits run out. The Democrats are trying to push the Republicans to keep them, to not take away anything that they want, and they have nothing to negotiate on. Mike Johnson said we didn't do anything to what was already previously there. We didn't touch shit. We left it exactly the way it was. The problem is there was unnecessary spending as well. We took that out. Everything else stayed the same. It's just a continuance of what was already there. The Democrats don't want to do anything about it. Well, then this Zohran Momdani guy, he's running for mayor. The Democrats are holding out. Nobody's wanting to switch. And then all of a sudden, moments after this guy becomes mayor, all of a sudden they want to start switching. Democrats want to start flopping and conceding to the Republicans, saying, okay, we'll vote on it now. We'll vote on it. We'll go ahead and start giving you what... So out of the Democrats, the 7 that they needed to flip, they had 2, right? I think 2 popped up over the last couple weeks that said that they would flip. Well, now they're saying 3 more possibly going to flip. Well, the backdoor or the story is that Schumer is supposed to look like the downfall for it, right? Or he's telling them, we're going to make this whole thing kind of look... I'm going to reprimand or I'm going to yell at the Democrats that flip, but we got to make this happen somehow. It's got to happen, and it's got to look like it was just a random thing, that it wasn't a planned thing, and it was a planned thing the entire time. They knew exactly what was going on. They've planned this the entire time. They knew the credits were going to end up running out anyway because it was set to expire anyhow, and they wanted to extend it again. The Republicans don't want to extend it again because this is money that they've been funneling into the insurance company's pockets. But this is the shit that as you dig into this stuff and you look into it and you listen to other people that study this stuff talk about it, regardless if it's on the Democrat side or not, they start telling you the truth. They start telling you exactly what was going on. But some of you are so close-minded to what's going on out there, you don't listen to what they're saying. Look at fucking Fetterman. What did he say? He said, I'm disgusted by my party. Why are we holding the American people? This is a Democrat saying, I'm disgusted by my party. Why are we holding the people's lives hostage? This is a Democrat saying this. And then other Democrats after him came forward and said the exact same thing. So, with that being said, why is it that the Democrats are now coming forward condemning their own party, but yet the Democrats that are out there that have been supporting them aren't doing the same thing? You guys are still so close-minded to what's going on. Their own party's condemning what they're doing. But yet it's Trump's fault, right, Cindy? Right? It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault because Trumpy, if he could do away with it, he would. Yeah, because Obamacare is a fucking disaster. That's why it's garbage. It catered to people that had nothing to give them something, but it fucked everybody else in the process. once you start seeing the bigger picture here, you start realizing the Democrats have been playing this game the entire time. Especially when their own party starts calling them out, asking them what they're doing. And then you got Democratic Fetterman that's saying, I don't understand some of the nasty things that they say. I don't understand how we can call Republicans neo-Nazis and all this other stuff and just call these people some of the most hateful things coming from the political party that I represent. It's disgusting. Why we talk this way and why we talk to our constituents this way and we talk about our government this way. It just shows very, very lack of taste in general. Just lack of self-control, lack of education, in general. It's just ugly. And now there's like 4 or 5 Democrats that have come forward that are like, what the hell are these guys doing? Just vote. Just open the government back up. Just vote. Be done with this shit already and just give people back their income. Get back to business and let's figure this thing out. So it seems that the whole entire time what we've been being told by the Republican Party about, they've literally done nothing. They've changed nothing. They've left it all. The continuing resolution is exactly the same as it was before, with some unnecessary spending being removed. Things that we shouldn't have to pay for in other countries. But that's it. Everything else that they benefit from here is exactly the same. There's nothing to negotiate. There's nothing that we put in there that we can negotiate that we wanted, because we didn't put anything in there that we wanted. There's no hidden this, or if you don't do this, we get that. None of that. We left it exactly the way it was, removed some of the BS spending overseas, and said, let's keep moving forward and we'll negotiate it as we go. How is low-income person supposed to get health insurance without ACA? What doesn't answer your question? I don't just stop and answer direct questions for people that say, I want this right now. I'm still talking about topics that I have at the helm of what's in my mind. You expect me to just stop what I'm saying to just answer your questions? Come on now. I'm going to eventually get around to people's questions, but I've got a topic that I want to talk about. If Trump would have lost, we would have been in deep shit by now. Yeah, fucking half the country would be overrun, and we'd be basically surviving in the southern states by now with the amount of shit that they were letting go on. Yeah, I don't know, Mike. I never thought that Fetterman would have been the voice of reason at all, but I've recently been listening to him on some of his interviews and stuff, and he actually sounds intelligent. He doesn't sound like an idiot like he did when I first started listening to him. He's actually very articulate in specific areas. So I don't know if something happened. I don't know if he's decided that, man, I got to learn how to speak a little better, but he's starting to actually sound better. How is a low-income person supposed to get health care without ACA? I don't know. They're going to figure it out. They are obviously going to figure it out. If they're going to take away subsidies and stuff, and they're going to take away certain health care, obviously there's got to be a plan in place to replace that a different way. You can't just fucking snap your fingers and be like, oh, okay, they're taking it away. They're the scum of the earth. There's going to be no plan. You gotta hear what the plan is before that even happens. And if you haven't heard it yet, you're getting all worked up and bent out of shape over nothing. Untwist your panties, pull them back up, and let's continue on. Obviously, if they were going to remove it, there would be a plan in place, and there's no plan in place to replace it right now. So, what are you worried about? The same people that said Trump couldn't bring down prices are the same people that think Momdani will give them free stuff. Well, that's exactly what he's saying he's going to do. But if you understand the type of person that he is, that Zohran is, before he became like a stone cold hardcore politician in the Socialist Party, the Democratic Socialist Party, he was an advocate and a voice of protesting and stirring shit up. I mean, the guy's not an innocent guy at all. But what Democrats were duped by, what New York City was duped by, is the fact that he came and he started talking peacefully and educated and staying on point and very pungent with certain things, that they actually bought the BS that was coming out of his mouth. And then when he won, he stood on that podium and flipped script and was a completely different character. Now the radicalism's coming out. Now the talking directly to the president's coming out. Now the you're not going to change me. This is my city, and I'm going to do exactly what I said. There's going to be government or the city controlled, government controlled grocery stores and everything else. Come on, guys. This is the type of shit you want? Is it just nothing but poor people living out here? Then that's exactly what they want, because it's easier for them to live that way, because the government can actually control and tell them what they can and can't do and feed them. Once you give the government control to feed you, you've already lost. You've already lost. I know some people can't help it, but the majority of people that are on it can do better, and they just choose not to. They choose not to. They get comfortable in their spot where they're at, and they learn to live within those means, and they never want to get uncomfortable, so they just stay there because it's safe. This guy's talking about all this free stuff, government-controlled grocery stores and stuff. Come on, man. It sounds absolutely ridiculous. Well, he's also been in office how long, Jay? Trump campaigned in lowering prices day one. That's why we voted for him. But we see what's going on there. I mean, how long do you need before you think within the first year it's just you can just snap your fingers and change like that, Jay? You really think that can happen that way? It doesn't. It doesn't happen that way. Some people's expectations and I guess the realization of people's expectations being unrealistic, to me, is unfathomable sometimes. It's people. I don't understand how you guys think life works, whenever you've got to run an entire country. It doesn't work that easy. And everybody said it would take years and years to fix all this. So what part of fixing all that and taking years and years to undo what's already been done, what part of that is day one today? I want results right now. It's not realistic. Remember what Reagan said, when socialism shows up, it will show up with a smile, beware of such. And that's exactly what's going on. Facts, Trump feelings. They are lazy A's mofos. Democrats have a childlike understanding of, yeah, I know. In the region I live in, a large majority of the population are low income, indivisible. I do not have access to adequate employer-sponsored health insurance. He is trying to lower drug prices. Let me ask you this, Music. Do you have any kind of medical conditions? Do you have any children? Do you have anything that's tying you to where you're at? I ask because maybe there's some people on here that are from your area, or maybe there's some people on here that can help brainstorm to give you some different ideas to maybe move you in a different direction. Just staying in the direction that you're in and then saying, this is my life, I have to accept it, is never going to change things for you. Never. Ever. I've lost everything 4 times. Lived in my truck with my service dog for months and months and months and months. I've been homeless, living on the streets. This is, I've come from nothing to where I'm at today. But I didn't want to ever accept I'm not going, or this is my life. I just got to deal with it. I always thought to myself, this is temporary. I don't want to live like this, and I'm going to try to find a way to change it. And that's exactly what I did. Well, unfortunately, that's the guy you voted for. That's the guy you voted for before he became president. That's the guy you voted for the last time he was president. So if you're going to critique about him flapping his gums, then maybe you should have thought about who you were voting for when the guy's been the same exact way the entire time. Nothing's changed. So I agree, some things he says is ridiculous, and he should stop about that. But to actually talking about what he's going to do and talking about the economy and stuff, he needs to flap them gums away. You can't just snap your fingers and all of a sudden expect change. You're being unrealistic. Yeah, let's just call it what it is. And I know why people are being that way, because the economy right now is not in favor of us. And Zohran's talking about, okay, so the non-logical thinking is ridiculous sometimes. Whenever we talk about, let's talk about. Zohran wants to raise the taxes on people that make $1 million or more another 2%. There's only a certain amount of millionaires and billionaires in New York City. When you start taking that type of money away from people, that's quite a hit, right? That's quite a big chunk of change that you're pulling away from them. Those people probably pay the bulk of New York City taxes. If not close to half of it, half of it. So you're going to tax the people that make over $1 million an extra 2%, and they already pay half of your city's taxes. They already give your city the jobs that they have. They already produce the goods that some of your city folks buy, and you want to raise the tax on them to another 2% on top of what they're already paying. Who do you think that gets passed on to? They either move and go to an area where it's cheaper and take their tax dollars away from where they're at, or they raise their prices, lower their labor, or they figure out how to manipulate the statistics financially in the business to be more in their favor. People that are rich aren't stupid. There's a reason why they're rich. You can go ahead and tax them all you want. They're going to find another way to make do. People that are millionaires have no problem raising up their business and moving it somewhere else and continuing the business somewhere else. Because if there's a product that's in demand or a service that's in demand, it's not going to be in demand just here. It's going to be in demand there and most other places as well. So go ahead and raise the taxes on these millionaires 2% to fund all the bullshit that you're going to give away free and your government regulated grocery stores and run grocery stores, and see how that goes for you, because a lot of those people are going to leave New York City, and you're going to have a ton of tax dollars leaving New York City. And then who where does that expense get passed on to? Where does the expense get passed on to when all those millionaires leave and those business developers and stuff leave? Who pays the difference when they lose all that? Answer me that. The people. That money gets passed on to the people. You go ahead and tax those millionaires an extra 2%, and they'll find another way to make you give it back to them, or they'll move somewhere else, and New York City loses those tax dollars, and then you guys end up footing the bill for what they lose. Because it's a smart idea to vote in a socialist that's actively and openly a socialist. It's not from this country. His parents are Indian. He's from Uganda. He hasn't even been in the United States that long. I think since 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. And he's been openly supporting the Democratic Socialist Party forever. He's been working on other foreigners' campaigns, helping them since 2017, 2018, whatever it was when he came here. It's never been an American that he's worked with. If you just go on Wikipedia, you can read the entire history on where he's from, where his parents are from. He was successful before he even came here. His father was a film producer. He lived in Africa for a while. I think he was either born and raised in Uganda. He's Shia Muslim. They're called the Twelvers. They're what they believe in, the religion. I think it's like the 12 imams or something like that, or whatever the hell it is. And they don't believe in Christianity. They don't believe in any of that stuff. So this is the guy that we wanted to put as the mayor of one of the largest, if not the largest city in the United States. A non-American that doesn't believe in America, that is a Muslim, and is obviously a clear traitor, because as soon as he got up there, as soon as he won and had to speak in front of everybody, all of a sudden the real Zohran comes out, the real narcissist comes out, and standing there, and the way he's talking and stuff like that, and people are standing there in shock, like, what the hell? You had a really good opportunity here to address the nation, to address New York City, and be like, thank you for voting for me. I'm going to make a huge difference here. I'm going to listen to the people. I'm going to work for you guys. I'm going to work hard, and leave all the drama and stuff out of it. But he couldn't do that. He had to run his fucking mouth and address Trump directly, as if it was something that he was trying to prove. Well, because he is. That's why. Who is this guy, this VTR J Frost? Because he is. And this is my show, and I talk about what I want on my show. And if you don't like it, you don't have to be here. Or if you want to talk and you want to debate, you want to go back and forth, I can do that as well. But if you want to start being like a child and saying nasty things, or just being childish in general, you can go. One of my moderators will boot you off. You can see there's people on here that don't agree with me on some things. Cindy doesn't agree with me. Jay doesn't agree with me. Mr. Independent. There's a lot of things people don't agree with me on, but they're my moderators on here because I trust them. We don't have to agree on everything, but don't come here acting like a child, because if you come here acting like a child, you're not welcome here. You can go back with the socialist Democrats from New York City and deal with them. Exactly. Silva should have dropped out. He should have dropped out as soon as he realized that he didn't even have a chance. He should have dropped out, because that would have left options 1 and 2, and that's it. And that percent may have been a lot closer than you think, but the guy didn't drop out. He should have dropped out. He should. I honestly think he probably should have never even been in there. Let's see here. Wealthy flight is a myth. No, it's not. That's not true. Data shows high earners rarely move over small tax hikes. Momdani's U.S. citizen since 2000. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was 2007, not 2017. But whatever. I could give a fuck less. He's not my mayor. And honestly, at the end of the day, New York City people have to deal with it. And that's what you guys wanted. That's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that that's what you wanted. That's what you know. What it is, though, it's exactly what Charlie Kirk said. Charlie Kirk said it best when he started talking about if we vote, if this guy looks strong and he looks really, really good. But when this type of person, when the youth speak up, it's because we're not doing what we're supposed to do to support them and actually take care of them. So a lot of our younger generation is for this socialist stuff. They're for the young guys like Zohran. And because we're not doing our job, and because we're not taking care of our youth, and there's too many people just talking and not acting, they're going to do whatever they think they have to do to make change happen, even if it's bad, even if it's not for the benefit of the rest of us. They are going to do what they think they need to do and vote a specific way, because we're not taking care of business as a whole. And a lot of this younger generation coming up is for a lot of this socialist stuff, because the shit we have now is not working. The stuff we have now just flat out isn't working. And I don't like everything that Trump does. I like some stuff that he does, but there's a lot of stuff that he does I don't care for. But what I'm getting at here is this type of us being mad at the person that ran and being very open and honest about who they are and what they're doing, it's sad because that same person has been telling you who they are from the beginning. You can look at their history and see where they've come from. He didn't hide any of that, but also at the same time, a lot of people didn't know. They didn't research because what they thought was, this is a new young face. He doesn't look like the standard white people that we have up here. This could be good for us because they're not doing anything for us. The Democrats aren't doing anything for us. The Republicans aren't doing anything for us. Maybe this new guy can mix things up a little bit and something will frickin' get done. And they voted for him. It's our fault that this happened. Being Muslim isn't un-American. You're right, it's not un-American. But there's a lot of things that Muslim people believe in that is un-American. Now, I had somebody the other day tell me, young guy, that it's being Muslim is where we care about people. We want to help feed the people that are hungry. We want to take the people off the street that have nothing, that are homeless. We are taught to love other people and stuff like that and care for other people. Really? Really? So are you going to accept gay rights? Are you going to accept LGBTQ? Are you going to accept the fact that a lot in the Muslim religion in general, it's like the woman's place to shut up and let the man lead? Because that's not what happens here in the United States anymore. Most of the Muslim people that I know, they're completely against all this other LGBTQ alphabet soup gender stuff. They're not for any of that. It's completely against. They don't accept them. They're kind to them, sure. But they don't accept anything that they do. They don't believe they should have any rights because it's supposed to be completely against everything that they believe in. Look at all the stuff that's happened to their women and stuff like that. It wasn't until recently, over the last 10 years, that the woman even had rights to drive and do things like that in certain countries. And now they're here in the United States and they can't even fucking drive. They drive like a bag of ass. They literally are the shittiest drivers on the road because they never were given a chance up until just the last 10 years or so to actually go out and drive and do things. It was the men doing everything. And you can see it in the way the women drive around here. They drive like shit. One pulled out in front of us the other day. We were going down 159th. We were going down 159th, not 159th, Harlem, and we were out in Tinley Park. She pulls out right in front of us with her fucking shit all over her. She had her head wrapped up in this black this and that. She could only see through like the window right here. It looked like she could barely see. She just pulls right out into the road like, oh shit, nobody's on the road but me. And then just eases on in front of us. I had to fucking lock up the brakes, veer over into the other lane, and me and my wife look at each other at the same time and like, why do these people always drive like this? Why do they act like they're the only ones on the road? Like they have no care for anybody else other than themselves. They're very self-centered. And if you notice, every single one of them that come over here, they're driving BMWs, Mercedes. There was one that killed somebody down here. He killed a man, hit him with his car because there was a dispute in the middle of the road, threw him 10 feet over into the grass. The guy died 2.5 hours later. He fled the scene. The cops found him at his house later, the next day. They impounded his car because it was the weapon that was used to kill the guy. They asked for an extension, and because of who he is and the lawyer and stuff that he got an extension. He went back to court again. He says, hey, can we have another extension? And can we give this guy some freedom? Even though he killed a man, can we give him freedom from like 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night? Granted. If that was me, or if that would be one of you guys that was not his religion, that would have never happened. They'd had our ass locked up in prison for vehicular homicide, fleeing the scene, reckless driving, but instead, he's free right now. From 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night after he took a man's life. Why? Because of who he is and how fucked up our system is. So you tell me where the problem is. Yeah, there's lots of programs. If you talk to yeah, assistance is only supposed to be temporary. Unless you're like a disabled person or you're like elderly, it's supposed to be temporary. If you're able bodied to get out and work, you're supposed to go out and try to work. Exactly. If he was black, he wouldn't have been able to even see the outside light until they had his ass locked up. What was that guy even saying? I tried to look, but it won't even let me look and see what he was saying. What's going on with him? I don't even know what that guy's problem was, Jay. Well, I mean, it happens around here. Trust me, I really don't have a problem with them because they're some of the kindest people that I've actually met, to be honest with you. When I was overseas in Iraq, there was Sunni on one side and Shia on the other, and there was sectarian violence, and they literally would try to kill each other because they believed in two different religions. Because they didn't believe the same, they would try to kill each other. And it was called sectarian violence, and we had to deal with that stuff every day there while we were on patrol. Maybe they would be setting up on this side was Sunni, and this side over here was Shia, and there was a bridge that connected the two bodies of where all this group of people, thousands of them lived, and they would try to kill each other as they were passing. They would set up bombs and stuff. They would set up all kinds of ways to hurt each other, and sometimes we would get trapped in the middle of it, and we would end up getting hurt. So a lot of the media would say that they are trying to attack and target Americans, and that's not what was happening. They were targeting each other, and we got in the middle of it. Four years. I was in the military 4 years. At least we aren't listening to prayer calls 5 times a day yet, like in Dearborn, Michigan. You see that lady that was in the shopping center? She set up her camera and she was doing an interview and she was like, oh my God, I don't even feel like I'm living in Dearborn anymore. 5:30 in the morning, the freaking prayer calls from the mosque go out and it wakes everybody up that normally can sleep a little bit longer. And we're stuck here. We have to listen to it 5 times a day. This is not how we grew up. This is not how we wanted to be raised. But they also this is not how we want to raise our kids. This is not their religion, you know. So why is this being forced on us? That's the part of assimilating. But Dearborn has been heavily Muslim for a very, very, very long time. Dearborn should have seen this coming a long time ago. Say, let's see, I'm not trying to be controversial, but sometimes I think that the Islamic call to prayer sounds very pretty. I understand it gives me PTSD. It makes my PTSD flare up. Because there was a lot of times this would happen right before Americans would get hurt overseas, or right before or after we would have rockets shot into our base and equipment and stuff blown up. So it gives me my PTSD spikes, and it gets under my skin, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I feel like you'd make a great mayor or something, simply because even if you disagree with someone, you still seem to like help others regardless of political views. Yeah, I'm going to help everybody. I'm going to help Muslim people. I'm going to help everybody. I'm going to help people that I don't like, because I don't believe in people not getting help or getting, taking care of people. But also at the same time, I still have a set of values and morals that I'm built on, and a foundation that I come from, and I'm not going to let that go because somebody else wants me to convert to their anti-American or non-American beliefs. It's just not going to happen. I think I read the Muslim prayer calls are at New York's train station. Huh. Sounds like a tortured cat dying. I saw the Pope designated a Muslim prayer room in the Vatican. Of course he did. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but thank you for your service. You're welcome, man. It's just, to me, it's, there were some really good people, and there were some really bad people that I encountered over there. There was a lot of good people, a lot. But there was also enough bad to make the taste in my mouth not be good for what I seen. And to be honest with you, I'll tell you a story real quick, if we can kind of, not off topic completely, but a little bit different. I was part of a security convoy, and they had given us these white vans. There was a special general coming into the base, and he was going to do a inspection, like safety inspection and stuff on our base. He's a 4-star general that was being flown in privately. Not privately, he was still on military aircraft, but he was by himself. He had his own private entourage and stuff that escorted him around. And he was coming on base, and they spun up a security force that could support his security force and help make sure that he was completely safe. So I was the lead van. I had an interpreter with me. The general was going to get in the van with me with his security force, and my interpreter was going to be his private interpreter for when we would actually travel around on the base and stuff. And the interpreter was in the van. Mind you, the general never showed up. He canceled his inspection. So we sat there for hours waiting for him, and he never showed up. Something happened security-wise or whatever, where they had to pull him off of his mission. And this guy looked at me and said, "Sir, can I ask you some like personal questions?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Why does Americans have to be involved in everybody else's business?" And I said, I don't quite understand. And he said, "Why does America want to be involved in all the other countries' business and stuff like that? I don't see a need, even though I enjoy my job working with the Americans because it's really good money. $700 a month is better money than the maybe, if I'm lucky, $100 a month that I would get here. So the money is really good working for Americans here. But the Americans seem to want to be involved in everything, even if it's not their business." And I said, "You know what? That's a good point. And I don't understand that. I'm here to do a job. And I focus on the job because I respect the president, regardless of who he is. If Joe Biden called up today and he was president and said, 'I need you to do this,' I'd be like, 'Yes, sir.' And I respect those appointed over me that are in positions that take care of this country, regardless if I like them or not. As a soldier, that's just what you do." And I said, I'm here to do a job. I believe in the job that I'm doing. I believe it's in the benefit of my country. I can't tell you why Americans do what they want to do. Mind you, I was young at the time, really young. And I said, but all I know is that I believe in what I'm doing. And he said, I have an analogy that I would like to share with you. Before you came and you guys took Saddam, everything was fine. Saddam was not the problem. Saddam was actually the control. He was the common denominator that actually kept everything together here. Even though he was an evil person and his brother was an evil person, Uday Hussein, Saddam Hussein, they were evil. But whenever they were in power, whenever Saddam was in power, and he controlled everything, there wasn't all the bombs in the roads. There wasn't all the people dying and stuff. There was some. He would kill people for his pleasure. But if he found out that there were groups out here that were trying to blow up people and he didn't know about it, he would send a whole security force after those people and he would kill them. He didn't want other people blowing up their people. Only he could do it because he was a dictator. But when he was here, the percent of people dying was astronomically less. He controlled who died. He controlled what was blown up. None of this stuff was going on before you guys took him out of power. And now you took him out of power. And there's all these groups that rose from out of nowhere. These little groups that are all trying to form. These little gang groups and stuff that you guys would call in the United States. And you've allowed them to band together and grow and get bigger and get bigger and get bigger. And now you see there's a huge problem here. People dying all over the place, people getting blown up all over the place, people stealing and murdering and raping all over the place. None of that was going on before you guys came here. None of that, to the extent that it is now. And he said you basically stuck your nose in somebody else's business and you ruined it. You actually made things worse for us. Even though Saddam was not a good guy, we did not have all this problem. Exactly. Hussein was a madman and monster for killing his own people, but he's the one that did it. He didn't allow all these crime or these gang rings and these ISIL rings and stuff like that to just pop up out of nowhere. It was him that was doing it, and it was substantially less than what they had after he was gone. So people started to realize, even though he was not a good person, it was a lot better when he was there than when he wasn't there. And the Americans came in and made it worse. And he said it's like this. When he was here, if you take a glass of wine and you dump it out and you hold it upside down and you just try to get the last couple drips out of there. The last couple drips, they're coming. Eventually they're going to drip out and the glass is going to be empty. That's how he had it when he was here. Those drops represent the amount of people that wanted to do terrorist things. They wanted to do criminal acts against their people. There was almost none left. They were almost gone. But now that you guys removed him from power, the wine glass is full. Dump it out. That's what we have here now. They're all over the place. People looking to do wrong, people looking to steal, to rape, people looking to kill. And we didn't have that before. And then at that point, I realized what we have done, what we have done to this country. That says a lot. He was the whip of the region. That's exactly what he was. 1st Armored Division, on the hunt for the Ace of Spades and others. I was there for 15 months, and half of my tour was with my unit, 2nd Brigade, 4th Infantry Regiment, and then first of the 3rd, I think they called it, 1st ID, 1st of the 3rd Artillery Unit, or Mechanized Unit, up in just north of Baghdad, outside of Sadr City. They needed people pretty badly, and we were tasked to go team up with their armored division up there, and that was scary where those guys were at. We had a big fob that was pretty cush overall. They built it up over the time that we were there. They brought in good food amenities. You had a PX and stuff you could go shop at if you needed things. It was a shit base, don't get me wrong, but it was a big base, and they were actually building it up pretty good. But when we got moved up north of Baghdad, outside of Sadr City, that was a hellhole. They had nothing there. They barely had anything there. And getting attached to 1st ID, that was an experience. Those guys don't play. No. Hello. Who's this up there? Love, what's up? War toppled the dictator, but unleashed chaos. You're right. Removing Saddam ended tyranny, but shattered order. Thanks for sharing a truth many ignore about unintended consequences. Yeah, I mean, everything that we do, you would think, Ringo, it's my pleasure, man. Everything that we do, you would think that it would be for a purpose, right? But our government screws a lot of stuff up too. Our government has screwed up a lot of countries. There's a lot of people from the Middle East that don't like us because they say we've ruined their countries. We've been involved in the destruction and the reformation of a lot of what's going on overseas, and they don't like us because of that. Because it's literally changed their entire lives and generations of how they lived. And I apologize for my mouth. No, I'm getting older now, and I just kind of let it go. What time is it right now? 8:51. I'm gonna have to get off of here soon. What was I gonna say? Oh, Palestine. What's up, Canadian? Palestine. Can somebody tell me where Palestine is located? Where is Palestine located? Curious if you guys know where it's located. In the Middle East, in the chosen city, yeah. Is there such a thing as a city of Palestine? Is there an area, a region that's called Palestine? Or is the people called Palestinian, but there's no actual place called Palestine, like a marked off body that this is Palestine? Or is it the people that are called Palestinian? So geographically, Palestine lies between Israel and Jordan along the Mediterranean coast. But are you saying that there's a specific place called Palestine, or is there a region that they call Palestine? See, this is what people don't understand. Palestine was never an actual place on the map for years and years and years and years and years. You can go all the way back to the kingdom of Israel, which was that whole entire area, and then even before that. Palestine was never an area over there until, I don't know the exact date, but it was years and years and years and years later. As things were conquered and passed off from ownership to ownership to ownership. And then even at that, where we can say, this is Gaza. This is this is that. Palestine was just a generic call for the region of where this area of towns and cities or whatever are. So people, people are like, oh, it's Palestinian territory, it's Palestinian this and that. They've had it forever, and the Israelis took it away from them, and they killed their families and took control, and they have been doing this to each other forever. That land, the ownership, the territory has changed so many times, it's unreal. So for anybody to come, oh, it's their territory, it's Palestinian territory, they should leave Gaza alone. It's always been fought for over there. It's been changed from decades upon decades, all different types of centuries, I should say. People have owned it, it's changed shape, it's changed leadership. It's always going to be that way. Why are we involved in that? Let them deal with it. We should not be involved in that. There was no Israel until the Rothschilds come along with the British government created it. Israel, the Kingdom of Israel was around a lot longer than the Rothschilds were. To me, Momdani seems like the next generation of Bernie Sanders, promising to make everything free and such. The let's just make everything free lines works great for low IQ types, and that's exactly what he's doing. All countries are conquered land, even the United States. This is not, we don't own this land. We conquered it and we defend it. That's how we occupy it. And that's everywhere in the world. It's a stumbling block for all nations, yeah. Yeah, Judea before, and then there was a dude that did like a history lesson, and before it was the Kingdom of Israel, this guy had like 6 other places that it used to be called well before the Kingdom of Israel. So it's been owned. I can only go back as far as the Kingdom of Israel. The ones before that, I'm kind of lost. And that's far back. Oh, yeah. Woo. All right. I'm going to have to call it quits out here for now. Just wanted to meet with y'all for a little bit. I'm about to leave and go to therapy. And I've got a inspection coming up on some stuff that I need done. So it was nice talking to you. I know we all don't agree on everything, and at any point, if somebody wants to interject and tell me, hey, you don't quite have your information right, like earlier, the time frame that I said Momdani was here, and then I was corrected, which I realize sometimes I don't. I get emotional about this stuff too, you know. So it's one of those things where I think we need to talk more. We need to talk more, and we need to just bring things to light, and maybe it might educate somebody on a specific topic. But the way our country's going right now, in general, there's a huge divide, and if it keeps going that way, we're just all gonna hate each other eventually, or we're gonna split, and it's gonna be this group of people that believes this way is living here, and this group of people that lives this way is living down there, or vice versa. So have a good day, everybody. I'll try to pop on later and have something to talk about or whatever. But for now, be blessed. Take care. Love y'all. I'm out.